Thank you, everyone, for being here. Allow me to offer you some background information. In our efforts to continue to address the current issues in the church, I want to let you know that I have offered a message to all the faithful of the Diocese of Dallas this past weekend. Copies of this are present here for you. I also had the opportunity to present this message in person at 10 different parishes in the diocese. It was my opportunity to tell the people that if the church is ever going to restore trust and credibility, it would only come after consistently doing what is right and just. As the bishop of the diocese, I recognize that when the flock is shaken and concerned, it is important that the shepherd be present. I'm grateful for the voices of the parishioners throughout this diocese, many of whom I met this past weekend, whose sentiments range from frustration and anger to faithfulness and hope. I'm also grateful to my brother priests who, like the apostles, have to deal with the fact that one of their brothers had betrayed them and the people of God he was sent to serve. This past week, I had the opportunity to meet with the representatives of the priests of this diocese who make up the College of Consultors, the Presbyteral Council, and the Clergy Personnel Board. As I have been reading with interest all that is unfolding within our church on the local level, the national level, and the international level, I read about a bishop in England who had requested of the Holy Father the consideration of having an extraordinary synod on the life and ministry of clergy. I mentioned to the priest of the diocese that I would like to lend my voice to this request, and I asked them to join me in signing a letter to our Holy Father, Pope Francis. In most recent times, such synods are equipped with information that comes from the grassroots of the church, that is to say, from parishes and dioceses. They are asked to contribute the material, questions, and content for the synod. For us, we would envision addressing the safeguard of children and the vulnerable, outreach to victims, the identity and lifestyle of clergy, the importance of human formation within a presbyterate or religious community, and at the same time to address abuse of power, clericalism, accountability, and the understanding of transparency in the church. In order to demonstrate a cohesiveness among the ordained ministers in this diocese, I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to have my brother bishops, along with the auxiliary bishop, to sign this letter with me. The priests were unanimous, and they wanted to send it immediately. The letter was signed by 2 bishops and 21 priests. As the bishop of the Diocese of Dallas, I pledge that we will not become complacent when addressing this issue and that we will continue to seek to heal those who have been wounded by abuse of clergy or church personnel. Once again, I pledge to you that we will do what is right and just. Thank you.
When do you expect to hear back from the Vatican Embassy or the Vatican itself?
I don't know exactly the time frame of hearing back from our letter to the Holy Father. I wait in anticipation for a response.
You proposed one of the topics to include lifestyle of the clergy. Where do you want to go with that? What do you want to dive into the lifestyle of the clergy?
Well, with that is how we can effectively be good, holy, dedicated, and committed men in serving the people of God. What does it mean? Does it mean looking at how it is we live in various rectories, or how it is that we are formed in ongoing formation? That is to say, how do we strengthen ourselves in being chaste, committed, holy men serving the people of God?
Are there specific changes, though, in the lifestyle that you'd like to see addressed?
With that, I mean, if you're embarking on the question of celibate clergy and married clergy, as long as we do it right, And as long as we understand what it is to live a chaste lifestyle, that is key and that is important. I truly see the gift of a celibate clergy, the ability to offer one's whole life in the service of God's people. It is indeed a gift that a man gives in service to the church.
And to make sure I understood what you said, you sound like you were open to that idea possibly. Did I
Open to
understand
what
that?
idea?
To the celibacy issue, and then a marriage issue. Did I understand that correctly?
No, I'm saying if what you are asking embarks on that, I wanted to be clear that I uphold the gift of a celibate clergy.
Thanks for clarifying.
Thank you.
Bishop, how do you feel sending this letter at this time with St. Cecilia having such a lot of eyes on it right now, especially with the recent reverend that's gone missing? I think a lot of people might see this letter to the Pope and say, well, this is happening in his backyard. How can he accuse the Pope of trying to better oversight within the Catholic Church?
As I mentioned, all of these issues are unfolding on the local, on the national, and on the international level. It is a universal church. And if we're going to look at this issue, and if we're going to look at it head-on, we have to look at it together.
Bishop, you also bring up the synod topic should include the understanding of transparency in the church. There are a lot of parishioners who say that the church hasn't been transparent at all, especially in this latest round with the priest over St. Cecilia. If the allegations were made known to the church in February or March, why wasn't that released to the parish in February or March that we're currently considering this?
It was out of the utmost care and concern for the victims. We had pledged to the victims that we would not make it public at that time. We even discussed with their attorney that we would not make it public. The one thing that I did not want, after recognizing that they had been victimized, that the church would re-victimize them by disclosing it. It was then,
Bishop, respectfully, I'm not
Sure.
asking about the identities of the victims. Isn't there a duty that the diocese has to the parishioners, the children of that church, that everyone who attends that church and has attended the church long before the fire? Isn't there a duty the diocese has to say, hey, we might have an issue here, and we need to get this addressed. If there's anybody else who might know anything about this, please let us know as well.
Correct.
Separate from the identities of the people who came forward in the diocese.
correct. One of the things that, as you allude to, is the responsibility of the diocese to have in place the safeguard for children. And indeed, with him removed from that parish was indeed our steps that were necessary. They were swift. Also, when we learned that there were any allegations of sexual abuse, we came into contact with law enforcement agencies immediately. While we were continuing to go through the investigation of all this, in fact, it's still an open investigation, we have to do what is necessary to safeguard the faithful, safeguard in particular children and the vulnerable, and then also to be faithful to our responsibilities to law enforcement agencies and to do what's best.
Bishop, what are you hoping to get from this other than just people coming together? I mean, are there specific kinds of changes you're hoping to see or that could happen? Can you give us some examples?
I would like to see a change in the way in which we approach such issues. This is indeed a topic that is central to the healing of the church. And it is important that the faithful come together to address this. And it's also important that the bishops of the church recognize the importance of the lay faithful if we're going to reestablish trust and credibility. They lend their ability to help govern the church. And when we see that the faithful have been betrayed by some church leaders, then I do think it is important to call upon the lay faithful to participate in the governance of the church.
Bishop, I sent your letter to a victim who was abused by a priest. We're speaking with him at 6 o'clock, and he had time to read over it, and his reaction was too little, too late. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I have to say that I acknowledge that a response like that comes from, as I indicated earlier in my conversation with parishioners, a frustration and an anger. I can't fault that. And then at the same time, I mentioned that there are some in our church who respond to this with faithfulness and hope. I offer my words of apology, sorrow, and embarrassment that all of this has taken place in the church. And to those who have been victimized, I have to accept the frustration and anger that they throw at us. And I have to also respond to them out of real charity and care and concern.
Do you feel what happened at St. Cecilia, you feel that anger from the parishioners there, and you accept
Absolutely.
being the head of this diocese, letting it happen under your watch in your backyard?
Absolutely.
What's the likelihood of a synod?
I'm sorry.
What's the likelihood of a synod being called?
I don't know. I think that what we see with our Holy Father, Pope Francis, is that he is one who is eager to address issues, and I see him as eager to truly reach out to those who are victimized or wounded. He has referred to the church as a field hospital, the opportunity to bind up wounds. I truly believe that's in his heart, and so tapping that part of our Holy Father's heart is exactly what I wanted to do with this letter signed by the bishops of this diocese and the priests.
Do you know the last time a synod was ever called regarding this type of topic?
This type of topic? No.
Is this the first one? Or at least the first time you've seen bishops and priests asking for it in your time with the church?
On this type of topic, with this intensity, yes. Once again, I want to thank you for your time and your presence today. Thank you for the good work that you do as the media. I have to say that it's your good work that helps us in answering the call to accountability. So thank you.